We are at the Nasscom India Leadership Forum 2018, and one session which actually saw the maximum crowds was about blockchain technology. And to speak more about it and explain to us from a layman's point of view, we have with us Danny Wettreich, Chairman, GreenBank. Danny, thank you for speaking to us.
Oh, my pleasure.
From a layman's point of view, what is blockchain technology? This is one thing that everyone is talking about. You see so many things being written about it. Just a Google search actually shows that there are people searching to understand what is blockchain technology. Can you explain from a layman's point of view, how do you put this process in?
Well, from a layman's point of view, the simplest way to think of a blockchain is it's a record of transactions with an audit trail, so that you basically know that once the transactions are recorded in the blockchain, they can't be changed. That's the fundamental ethos that started cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is renowned as the first blockchain, if you like, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. But blockchain has so many more uses beyond cryptocurrency. It represents a revolutionary way that industries, governments are going to transform the way they do business. In many ways, it's the equivalent of the early stages of the internet. Right. When people were trying to figure out what's the internet for, why will it help me? Now, can you imagine business and commerce and governments without internet access? It's impossible.
Right. And so why do you think companies are adopting, or why should they adopt blockchain technology on a large scale? Can you explain that to us as well?
Blockchain has the capability of drastically reducing costs, speeding up transactions, and that sounds simple, but if it's applied to so many different aspects, it's very, very significant. So a simple use case, for example, is a stock exchange. Buying and selling shares usually has 3-day settlements, sometimes 2-day settlements. A blockchain, if properly structured, can actually do it in the form of seconds. The key to it, though, has to be identification. This is where a lot of the issues surround the blockchain space. Because blockchains are emanated from the cryptocurrency world, right, and the cryptocurrency world is based on anonymity, the grafting of identification onto blockchain is critical for future use. You can't, for example, have a stock and share transaction if you don't know who the buyer is and you don't know who the seller is, and yet at the same time, they have to be private. Right. So if you're selling me a stock, we know the transaction has occurred, but the third party can't see what's happened. Right. That's a very important system.
Right. Are you also saying that there's a lot of this talk about is blockchain Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin blockchain? Now, how do you, for a layman, how do you segregate that?
They're totally different. A Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency is only functions with the usage of a blockchain. Right. So if you like, it's the engine upon which everything revolves around the cryptocurrency space. The weakness in that engine is it's anonymous. All the users are anonymous. So governments don't like it because they can't see transactions, they can't tax transactions, and it encourages bad actors to get involved in the space, right, as they have done, yes, and misuse the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or whatever it is. Right. The only future for any cryptocurrency is to have identification attached to it. Currently, they're all anonymous, and there's a lot of them, except for one, which is GreenCoinX, which was originally started by GreenBank. So we're in the situation where that led us to realize how critical identification is, and you then translate that into blockchain usage, and frankly, that opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Right,
so outside of the financial markets, what is the utility that you're seeing today? How are people using blockchain technology? Well, in which sectors?
Two obvious sectors, for example. Say, for example, the social security space, which is something the government is very interested. We had discussions with the UK government because they had a social security problem. They pay £1.5 billion sterling a year to dead people. Right. That's a problem. Right, right. Basically, the recipients, die, and the families don't say anything about it, and they keep getting the checks. A simple usage of blockchain, as long as it's based on identification, is to provide a database embedded into a blockchain where all the users are identified, and then every few months, the user has to go and proof of life by way of verifying his identification. Without that, the checks stop. Right. There's a perfect example. Right. The costs of that system are relatively small. The savings are huge. Right.
In India, there is a huge debate about privacy and also AADHAAR, the identification project that is going on.
Right.
Where do you think blockchain technology can be, can probably add value to this entire process?
Well, it's a very good question. The AADHAAR system is very critical to India, and we understand why it was required, and it's terrific. It's a huge step forward. At the same time, I think it's no secret that the AADHAAR system has some weaknesses. You know, it can be messed with, people can modify the data.
Right.
You can't really do that with the blockchain system.
Right.
So I think the blockchain is one step ahead, the next step of the AADHAAR system, making it that much more sophisticated and secure in terms of data protection.
Right. In India, as far as cryptocurrency is concerned, and also Bitcoin, the government has not been that keen on pushing out a system for this. In fact, they have actively discouraged. Even our central bank, the RBI, has actively discouraged dealing in Bitcoins. Are you speaking to people here? What's the kind of sense you're getting among probably people who are involved in policy and also involved in regulatory mechanisms?
Well, it relates to India and it relates to all other countries. Namely, regulators and governments do not like the anonymity aspect of any cryptocurrency. Right. You know, they can't tax it, they can't see who's doing what. And so that's a real problem. And I don't think that's solvable by saying, oh, we will have an intermediary who will provide you with the confidence that you would like, Mr. Government. That's not going to happen. Right. You have to have a situation where government is comfortable that all users in the system are KYC identified. Without that, they will never have an approval basis on a long-term basis. So unless the cryptocurrency space changes to identification, its future is very limited in my judgment.
Danny, thank you for speaking to us.
My pleasure.